I'll come over there in a minute.
And we are making an archive of it, right?
Yes. Yep.
We're making a Glendora copy, okay. And then you're going to take it over to Glendora, but you'll leave me a copy, will you?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Then
Yep.
it's your standard procedure.
Yep. That's how we did it last time.
Yes.
All right. Let me just move this stuff down here.
And Wayne, I'm going to pick up with your remembrances of the SS Glendora because you've already told us how you got started on it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do only 20 minutes of you. And Vicki, I'd like the last 8 minutes to be David Letterman.
Oh, okay. The David Letterman clip?
Yeah.
Okay. I have them somewhere, I think. I hope. Yes. Okay. So we are rolling.
Oh, we're rolling.
Yes, and
Okay.
I'm next to you. I'm behind you. So whenever you're ready.
I'm going to give you a cue, Vicki, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, stand by, Wayne. I'm going to introduce you.
All right.
All righty.
Move back a little. Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2. Hi, folks. This is Pittsfield Resumption #2 show, and my guest is a lifetime resident of Pittsfield, Mr. Wayne Arnold Collins. Wayne, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Glendora?
Oh, very good. And your prestigious friend Victoria Carezzi is with us.
Hello.
Hello, Victoria.
Hi. I'm over here now.
Wayne, continue some of your recollections of the children's show, the SS Glendora, that was on WRGB and that was so popular in the Pittsfield area.
Yes, as we said, it began in the summer of 1955, and it started with no theme song, not the little boat. The very first episode just showed you with your 3 guests on the deck of the SS Glendora ship with the binoculars. I've told that story many times.
And I believe you said that the Jim Fisk, who was on the Freddie Freihofer show, that Jim Fisk made that beautiful set.
Yeah.
Airbrush. It was airbrush, by the way, Wayne. Did you know that? It was airbrush?
Oh, it was?
Yes.
Well, it looked like you were really on a ship.
Oh, yes.
It really looked like the deck of a ship.
Yeah.
And every night I look forward to watching it. Every evening, you always, certain things were the same, like you always had a cartoon, but you always had something different, some little trick or a contest or something of this nature or a quiz. And it made it very interesting because there was nothing else on that was like that. It was very unique.
And when you said the theme song was Hornpipe?
Yes, the Sailor's Hornpipe, and then you had, it was a cardboard ocean, and there was a little boat, the SS Glendora, and someone would be behind it, rocking it back and forth while the theme song played.
Thank you, Jim Fisk. You did a marvelous piece of work. Yeah. Go ahead, honey. You're doing fine. And then the children would come in and I would put their caps onto them and give them a black tie to wear, and they always wore white shirts, right?
Yes, so when they came out, they were all in these uniforms, and that's when they would salute and say, this is, and give the name, reporting from, and give the location, and they'd say, this is Chief Mate, maybe John Jones or Susie Smith reporting from Schenectady, New York, or Glens Falls, New York, or Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
This is Chief Mate Billy Handsome reporting from Scotia, New York.
Yes, that's how it worked.
And one day, Vicki, one little boy came in. He was awfully little, honey. He was no more than 5 or 6 years old. And the cap that we had for him, Vicki, came way down over his ears. It almost covered up his whole head. And he goes on the screen, Wayne, and he said, this is Chief Mate Harold Smith reporting from... And then in terror, he looked at his mother, who was off the set, And he says to her, "Where am I from?"
Oh.
And I think that the set was much larger than it actually was.
Yeah,
It looked like the large deck of a ship.
it did. And you know, it was only in a room 10 by 12.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
And
wow.
then there was one boy who had amassed quite a few giveaways because he had done well on a quiz. You said to him, "How are you going to get all of this home?" And he said, "In the car." And I thought that was...
No, he said to you, Wayne, in a duffy bag.
Well, you said, "I think you'll need a ditty bag." Don't you?
Yeah.
I'll get it home in the car.
In a ditty bag, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever heard you use the term ditty.
Yeah, we had a lot of nautical terms. What were they? All hands on deck?
At the end, one of the boys would say, "All hands on board. Return to your stations. Back to your duties."
Yeah,
Oh.
right. And remember one girl, she had never used the product that was used in our commercial. So we said we would throw her overboard.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, remember that? And somebody took her by the shoulders and somebody else put her by the ankles, and we said a 1, a 2, a 3. And then we said, no, we don't want to do this.
Oh, that was
All the
fun.
commercials were live, too, which made it very interesting.
Oh yes, it was definitely WRGB General Electric, and if you didn't make money, you were off the TV.
Yes,
But we were on there 6 years.
and the boys and girls all helped with the commercials.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely integrated commercials.
Yes.
Now, that's a difference, folks, right now, you people in Pittsfield. That's a difference between broadcast TV and cable TV. Cable TV is public access, no commercials, and broadcast TV is the more commercials, the better.
Yes.
It's the difference between what the teacher said and the train said. Do you know what the difference between what the teacher said and what the train said?
What was that?
Well, the teacher said no chew, and the train said chew, chew, chew. No commercials, and chew, and then get as many commercials as you can.
But I don't remember you having that many commercials. It seems like it might have been just one because it was just a 15-minute program.
It was, but they crowded it into 3 commercials every 15 minutes, and the half-hour show had to have 6 commercials. And in those days, Wayne, listen to this, the commercials were not 30 seconds, dear. They were 60 seconds.
Oh, yes. And the time that the boy tied the sneakers to the lines and you said, "You've ruined our bunting," and that's how you eased into the commercial.
And the Schenectady Bootery was one of the commercials, and it was live, and he was having a sale on kids' shoes, and he was giving away free lollipops.
Ooh.
And he says, all the time Glendora's doing her commercial on my show, on my bootery, I want her to be eating a lollipop. So I was trying to do the commercial and keep my eyes on 6 kids that were live on the show, Wayne. And one kid was just about to knock over your ship that you thought was a ship. They were just about to knock over the flat. And I had to give him the evil eye to calm him down. And I had a lavalier, or an RCA lavalier. It was about the size of a cigarette lighter. And I had that in one hand and and I had the lollipop in the other hand. And when I went back on camera, I put the lollipop in one hand and I put the microphone in my mouth on the other. And I was wearing a gold bridge, because you can imagine what clatter that made in... By the way, in those days it was 61,000 people watching.
And that was live television. That was the way it went. Everything didn't necessarily go perfectly.
Right.
Wow.
Does anybody watch what time we started? Because we want to come out, remember.
Yeah, I have. We've done about, I'd say 9 minutes.
Oh, good.
So far.
Could you
When we're
remind...
doing the Satellite 6 program and you had the Honer Melodica, it never occurred to me at the time that that was a commercial. I just thought it was something that you had, you thought it was clever, and you wanted to use it on the show.
Yeah.
That's smart
tell 'em what
advertising.
What'd you say, dear?
Smart advertising.
Yes, and then
Very clever.
you either dropped it or banged it on the console.
No, I dropped it. I dropped it on the floor, honey.
Yes, and you said, "You're out of luck, folks. It isn't broken. You play it."
It still works.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yeah, it still works.
Oh.
Now that was another Jim Fisk set, the Satellite 6 set. You remember he had it looking like Sputnik,
Yes.
and he had a constellation, and the constellation was Porky Pig, and Bugs Bunny, and Daffy Duck,
Yes.
and those. He had a constellation of the sky, honey,
Uh-huh.
and those were the constellations. He had stars.
Oh,
Clever, right?
very clever.
And
How
vi-
neat.
And Wayne, tell him about the control panel.
Oh, the control panel. Well, you were at that just about all the time for the show, and you had a very different uniform on that show, the one with the big cuffs. And you'd call who you said was your boss, called the Booney Moolah, and you'd talk to him, and you'd hear this gibberish going on over the phone.
Yes, but folks, the interesting thing is that the control panel that they gave me as a set, now this is as a piece of the set, was the actual control panel that was used at WRGB when it was down on the Mohawk Lake by the Scotia Bridge, right by the entrance of General Electric. This was the real control panel that they used down there for years.
Well, they got quite a bit of extra mileage out of it when
And they did, they
your
did.
show.
Yeah, they did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
And can you remember any more of the things that we said on there? What about the great big boys? Remember the great big boys that were 13 or 14 years old?
Well, yes, and they wanted to sabotage the show, but they said that Glendora was so nice to them when they arrived that they thought they'd go along with it after all.
Oh.
They didn't sabotage it. And we have to tell them about little Jimmy Talbot, who was your age, Wayne. He was
Oh, yes.
same age as you were. And we had a system where, tell them how they got onto the show, Wayne. How did they get onto the show?
Well, they would send postcards, and these would be drawn out of a large treasure chest. And he wanted so badly to get on the show, he sent in 100 postcards.
Oh, yes.
So then he was invited to come and work behind the scenes on the show.
Yes, he did. Putting on the neckties for the little kids,
Yes,
getting them the hats to fit.
and helping with the commercials.
Yeah, yeah,
And one day he spilled a bottle of Cocoa Marsh on the floor.
yes.
Oh, no.
Actually, it was worse than that, Wayne. The refrigerator was up in the main studio on the main floor,
Oh, yes.
and I was down in the cellar. And he went up to get the Cocoa Marsh out of the main floor refrigerator, and they was getting ready to do a show there that was live back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And he dropped the Cocoa Marsh, folks, right in front of the camera wheels. You know, the camera was on a dolly,
Yes.
and the dolly was being operated by a cameraman, and he dropped the Cocoa Marsh right in front of it, and they had to clean it up, honey, within 4 minutes, which was going live the next show.
Oh, well, what I remember, the show that came right after yours was Bronco Bill.
Okay. Then okay, Wayne. All right, then they had a half an hour to clean it up upstairs. And we had 2 minutes, folks, to get out those 6 kids and their parents and myself and anything else out of that studio before Bronco Bill squeezed by my set and went on to his set.
His-
Not only were we back to back, but we were in the same studio.
Yes, and they had to take down your set, and his, I remember, was a big cactus.
Well, no, they didn't have time to take, that's right, it was only a cactus and a desk. They didn't have time, honey, to take down my set.
Oh,
He had time to slip in and we had time to slip out. Now that was television at its greatest, Wayne. Right, Vicki?
Oh, yeah.
This is 1955. When were you born, Vicki?
77.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this was television at its best. Let me go through these shows live to live. When did Freddie Freihofer come on? Before the SS Glendora or after it?
As I remember, it was before, but I could be wrong. If Bronco Bill was just after it, he would have had to have been before.
I remember him, honey. He was 6 o'clock and Glendora, SS Glendora was 5:45 p.m.
Okay, so yeah, Jim Fisk with Freddie Freihofer probably was 5:30. Because his was only a 15.
That's probably true. No, that isn't true. Glendora was at 5:45. Bronco Bill was at 6. Now we're up to 6:30. And that would be Freddie Freihofer. And then you had the news and the weather. Now remember, these are all back to back. And then you had Gary Stevens and it's after 6/7.
Right. And then, as I remember, Earl Putney was in the evening, too.
There you are. Earl Putney was 15 minutes. That was... Now, can you imagine that? These shows I just named you, all of them were back to back, honey.
Wow. So everybody was just was waiting in the wings to come on and do their show.
Yep.
That's so neat.
I
I
don't think...
remember one night, it would have been Earl Putney's show. He was supposed to have Fats Domino as his guest.
Oh, no kidding.
And he said, well, Fats Domino won't be on tonight because he's encountered car trouble. So he was on the next night, and I remember seeing him, and he had a big diamond stick pin in his necktie.
Ooh.
It stuck in my mind.
There you are, folks. That was television at its best, and it has never reached that climax since. It kept, well, I shouldn't say that. It kept going very, very high through the 50s, but by the 60s, honey, it was going downhill.
Yes, they did have some classic shows in the early 60s.
No, I'm talking about live television,
Oh, yes,
honey.
live.
Kids on the show.
Oh, yes. I believe that the Freddie Freihofer did continue into the early 60s.
Yeah, well, that's because they were paid for.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the live was pretty well gone by then, wasn't it?
Yes. What time is it, Vicki?
We've been doing 17 minutes. 17 and a half minutes.
And my mother was a very voluminous Freihofer customer. And when the Freihofer man came to the door on Regent Street in Niskayuna, she would buy and buy and buy and buy, and he would leave the house so tickled with all the money he had made off of her.
Oh.
And one day he went out so exhilarated that when he went out the doorway, he pulled the doorknob off.
Oh,
He walked away down the stairs with the doorknob in his hand.
Oh
oh no. And what about all the fan mail you used to get when you were doing the Glendora show?
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, yeah. What's
That was
that?
Satellite 6, the Felix the Cat.
That too. But
Yeah.
like those pictures that I wrote, and you sent me a picture, and you used to autograph every one of those by hand. And
I
wrote
don't
in my
think so,
name,
Wayne.
Smooth sailing.
No, honey, I don't think so. Because some days there would be 700.
Oh, so who would sign them?
Nobody.
Oh, because the one I had is signed. The one
Well, it was signed, it looks signed. Honey. Well, I know that I didn't autograph them by hand.
Oh, because it's blue ink. And my name is on it.
Yes, my mother put your name on it.
Oh,
But I don't think I autographed them, honey.
oh,
Because I say they would be $1,500 a week.
oh. All these years I thought that I had an autograph from you.
Well, you have my mother's name. You have my mother's writing your name, but it was not autographed.
Oh,
Someone's here.
Miss Glendora,
Hello.
I'm back with your food.
Oh,
Okay,
your food. Well, it's at 20. It's at 19 minutes.
hold everything, everybody. Hold everything. We are going to bow out now, Pittsfield audience. Again, this is Victoria Caresi and Wayne Arnold Collins. Would you like the last word, Wayne?
well, I just would like to have everyone look back and remember these shows and what joy they brought and what entertainment, and hope that these reminiscences we've shared will bring back some warm memories.
Very good. And now, folks, we go to the night that Glendora was on the David Letterman show. She was invited to be on it. And that was in October of 1987. And Vicki, you're going to roll that?
Yep, I'm gonna roll it. Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Okay, I'm gonna push stop.